So good morning, everybody. Next session is from the All India Ophthalmological Society. I said All India Institute of Medical Sciences because that's where I come from. That's one of the biggest residency program in the world. So I'll be talking on that in some time. So because Dr. Quresh has to rush down somewhere, and when you want to start a talk for the residency, it's good to have a good doctors with good values. But what are the values we expect and anticipate in the residents is what Quresh is going to talk about. And it's going to be good fun. And we'll be talking with the ophthalmic educations and trainings. So we have people from across the globe. We got people from USA. We have people from other parts of the country, world. So he's going to talk about how the training should be given. And because Quresh has to go, he'll be talking value to live by as a student. Quresh, all yours.
Thanks, Sudarshan. And he has been extremely mysterious about where I have to go. He has to go somewhere, and he has to go. I am doing nothing except attending the conference, and going somewhere means to the IV room for a cornea roundtable is why I requested to up my talk. So I do love the mic, and I do love talking. But here I wanted to share, especially for the younger people, the values that I believe in, and I've just put them down here. And I think that these will be helpful to all of us in the long run. Let's start with the first one, which is goal setting. It's nice to have a long-term vision, but set realistic short-term goals. Your long-term vision could be to own a palatial home and a Mercedes car. But set realistic short-term goals would be to master the art of indirect ophthalmoscopy or something like that. So achieve it, then set a new goal. Ultimately, the Merc and the palatial house may or may not come. But the important thing is to look ahead and be positive. I am reminded of Tiger Woods in his prime days before women and other things destroyed him. But he used to always say that I'm looking right at when I'm hitting the ball, I'm not concentrating on the ball, I'm concentrating on the goal, trying to score a hole-in-one every time. So be positive. Fear is an illusion. Many of us are afraid of doing something or the other because we imagine obstacles instead of opportunities. So it's an opportunity which life presents to you. Your patients are presenting to you. You don't have to experiment on them. But established things, don't say, I cannot do this or I will not do this. Use a mentor, use someone to hold your hand, but do whatever opportunity comes your way. There is the story of the king's falcon. In the Middle East, they are very fond of keeping falcons as pets. He had a very prized falcon, but this falcon would not leave his hand or a tree branch. And the king asked for volunteers from across the kingdom. Some came and said, you feed him this food or you give him this to drink and he will move. And nothing worked till one poor farmer came and said, sir, can I try? And all he did was cut the branch on which the falcon was sitting. And the falcon had no choice but to fly high. So change is the only constant. Don't be fearful of change. Embrace it. That's the only way that we will progress. The second value I'd like to give you is the value of consistency. When you're in a busy OPD, you have 300 patients to be seen. Your attitude to the first patient that you see should be the same as to the 300th patient, because the 300th patient at the end of the busy OPD, you may be tired, but for that patient, you are his first consultation. So be consistent in your activity. You don't have to be the smartest person or the most charming or the most popular in the batch. Just be consistent in your behavior and have the same engaging smile and do everything. There's no shortcut. If the patient complains of foreign body sensation as your 300th patient of the morning, you will still look for the corneal foreign body. You will still evert the lid and look for a foreign body somewhere deep in the fornix. You will not presume it is dry eye and put him on some lubricant and send him away because he's your 300th patient. So you need to be consistent, work hard, and practice. Whether it's indirect ophthalmoscopy or a slit lamp examination, you need to keep doing this. And in our subcontinent, we are blessed with an abundance of patients, especially during our training days. Everybody has a busy OPD. And please understand, this is God's gift to us, because it's not that way in the developed world, where residents have to struggle to see 5 patients in a day. Stand for your convictions is the third value that I cherish. For example, the chief of a top company who was trying to find out who would be his successor gave all his top executives a seed for a bamboo plant and told them, you grow it at home and come back to me after 6 weeks, and whoever has the best bamboo plant, who has nurtured it well, will be my successor. And after 6 weeks, all of them came with lovely bamboo plants, flowering, tall bamboo plants. And only one of the executives came back with an empty pot. And the others all laughed at him and said, you couldn't grow anything. And the CEO asked him what happened. He says, well, I tried everything, but the plant just did not grow. So I'm sorry about it. So this is and obviously he became the CEO because the CEO had boiled the bamboo seeds, and none of them could have grown a bamboo plant. The others forged their results in the sense they went out, purchased some bamboo plants, and put them in the pot, while this fellow stood for his convictions. When you're writing a journal article, when you're trying to publish something, and that is the time that a negative result or something which is an adverse event, report it. Have the courage of your convictions to say that I tried these drops and they did not work. In publications, that has more value than coming out with false results and saying it worked, because whatever your results will be tried by others, and then if they find that it's not consistent, you will be looked down upon. While you have come out, you're the first person to report an adverse event, and somebody else reports the same events, and you might save so many eyes by this. So stand for your convictions. A negative result is sometimes more important than positive results. The fourth conviction the fourth value I cherish is to give without expecting a reward. This is enshrined in most of the holy books. It's known as the karma theory. Do what you think is right without bothering for a reward. There is the story of Paderewski, who was a very famous pianist, and Herbert Hoover was an impoverished student in college days. He and his friend hired Paderewski to play the piano to raise some money for the college. And as is usual, nobody comes. They come for a dance night at the Yossi meetings, but they don't come to listen to a classical piano recital. So the program was a flop. They couldn't pay Paderewski. He waived his fees. This is perfectly all right. Years later, Herbert Hoover was the president of the United States, and Paderewski was the prime minister of Poland. Poland faced a famine, and he asked for help. Herbert Hoover sent tons of wheat over, and when Paderewski asked for, how will I pay? He says, you've already paid. One important value that I cherish is your own self-esteem. Your colleagues may run you down. Your professors sometimes can be very harsh at you. My God, horrible cataract you've done. You'll never make it in life. You'll never be an eye surgeon. So there are lots of people telling you lots of lousy things, and many times your hope is down. You're very pessimistic. Why did I join this profession? I should have been a lawyer or something else. But please understand that no matter how much you crumple or crush a 5,000 rupee note and you run a steamroller over it, if you still go to the supermarket, you'll get 5,000 rupee worth of goods from that. So nobody can crumple or crush you. Your value is intrinsic. It's within you. And the last point that I'd like to say is be ethical. It's more profitable in the long run. People will realize you can't fool all the people all the time. It's important for you to pick up role models from around you, but it's important for you to be role models for your children. And I'll just end with a small story about I was caught for talking on my cell phone when I was at a traffic signal. It was an important call from my hospital telling me about a patient, and the car was stopped at a red light, but nevertheless the cop caught me. And I was fined. I had to go to court in those days, and the judge said 7 days suspension of driving license and a 500 rupee fine. And I did that, and my kids were much younger at that time, and they said, let's go out for ice cream. I said, I'm not driving. I'm sorry for 7 days. Nobody would have known if I had driven. But hopefully that message went in to the kids that there is no shortcut. So be ethical all the time so that you can be a role model. To summarize, I've discussed certain important values in our personal and professional lives. I assure you that I have not told you anything I don't follow myself. You're, of course, free to apply none of these take-home messages in your own lives. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Quresh, for a wonderful discourse in the morning. And next, I invite Professor Sudarshan Kokar, Professor in charge of Lenses Clinic Services, RP Center, AIMS, Delhi.
Quresh is going to the other hall. You're not going out. Fine. Okay, so I was given a task to talk about the training program for the residency. So you already seen, you already seen what you were supposed to do as a student, the other side. What can you offer? What should be able to offer these guys is what I'm going to talk about. And I done my residency at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, and we got an eye department which is called Rajendra Prasad Center. Rajendra Prasad was the first prime minister for us, so that's how. So it's actually started in 1967. I'm talking about our center because our center was a premium center, and afterwards all the training center which have come, they're trying to copy this model to some extent. So it started in 1967. Of course, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare had taken the initiative. And the first and the former chief was Professor L.P. Agarwal, who had insight into he was a visionary, and he knew that eventually you need more OTs. When we started, we had 4 operation theaters, but now we're running 15 operation theaters. And the land and the area which he grabbed at that time in 1967 is still going on. We haven't got any inch from the other, because our hospital, multi-specialty hospital, so everybody wants to take the space away. So this guy actually thought of in 1967, and we're still using that space now. So you have to think in advance, in future. So it's basically a 7-story building. So I'll just run a video which actually is self-explanatory to all. I can have the audio, yeah.
Tamsu Ma Jyotirgamaya. From darkness to light. Dr. Rajendra Prasad Center for Ophthalmic Sciences was established by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, in 1967 as a National Center for Ophthalmic Sciences to provide state-of-the-art patient care to the common man. Dr. L.P. Agarwal, the founder-chief of the center, was a visionary who envisaged a standalone comprehensive ophthalmic center that would be at the forefront of the eye health planning, academics, and clinical care.
Okay, so in other words, I can say it's a mecca of ophthalmology. Name it from the anterior surface, dry eye, surface disorders, coming to the tear films, the cornea, every layer of cornea. I think we have a specialist for that. We have people who are specializing for the DSACs. We have for every level, till all the way down the retina and optic nerve, and we have a neuro-ophthalmic setup also. So we have a retina units, we have a cataract, refractive. You name a machine, and we have at least maybe 2 of those. I had gone to the Boston for some work there, and we realized that those people don't even have eye OCD microscope. They have 2, one for the lab, one for the main. And at my center, in this institute, we got over 7 IOCT microscopes, which are used for surgical, and I can actually look into the depth of the tissues, and we can come out with more knowledge there. Okay, so this...
The center is a constituent ophthalmic services unit of the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Dr. R.P. Center spread across a standalone 7-floor building.
So that's a building.
As 300-bedded facility catering to a footfall of more than 5 lakh patients per year. Dr. R.P. Center has the largest ophthalmic residency training program in the world, with over 250 ophthalmology residents training in basic and advanced ophthalmology, with 47 faculties, comprising of 6 clinical units of excellence, catering to different ophthalmology specialties, clinical services to retina and uvea, cataract and refractive, cornea and ocular surface, Ophthalmology, publishing medical literature on clinical and
Okay, so as I said, we got 6 units. So each unit is specialized and each unit is subdivided into 2 categories now. So unit 1 takes care of pediatric ophthalmology and cataract, which I head. We do refractive and we run half of retina and uvea. We try to split the retina and uvea into 2 halves because on one day, if you have entire retina people coming, it'll be too much for the OT and the OPD also. So we are divided into 2. And that was as a concept. So when you have a resident posted in each of the department, it stays there for 3 months and he changes and comes after maybe 6 months to other retina department. So he can actually learn the entire gamut of things during the residency, which is a 3-year program. And there's a lost video and then I can finish.
Unit 1 caters to cataract, refractive and pediatric cataract services, along with retina and uvea services. A large volume of children of all ages with cataract is examined and operated upon providing them with optimal visual rehabilitation. Unit 2 caters to retina and uvea along with ROP services. All advanced and complex retinal surgical treatments are available. The special pediatric neonatal unit caters to comprehensive ROP services for the premature babies with retinal problems. Unit 3 caters to cataract and refractive cornea and ocular surface services. World-class facilities for femtosecond assisted cataract and refractive surgery is performed in high volume throughout the year. Unit 4 caters to glaucoma, squint and neuro-ophthalmology services. Advanced care facilities for glaucoma clinical, laboratory and research facilities are accessible to all patients. Unit 5 caters to squint, neuro-ophthalmology and oculoplasty services. Children and adults with a wide variety of squint problems and complex neuro-ophthalmology disease are thoroughly examined and taken care with the world-class surgical procedures. Yes.
And we also have the National Eye Banks. They have a keratoprosthesis services. We have a stem cell transplantation center at our place. So we have 15 OTs running at the same time, out of which 5 are GA. On 4, we run the surgical cases, and 1 is for the examination and anesthesia. And clinical rounds in the ward, in the clinic, in the OPD, everywhere it's teaching going on all over the place. And the residents are most than welcome to come and have their problems sorted out. And we do about more than 1,000 corneal transplants every year. And ophthalmic, we have an emergency which is 24/7, and the residents are posted there along with the senior guys. So they can pick up all the emergencies which you just saw the Australians show you. So our residents are very good at picking with the foreign body. Even the first year guy could be as good because he must have picked up about a 50 in his first 6 months itself. So these guys are trained. As Quresh said, if you have the values, if you want to learn, this is the best place to be. Okay, so this is a 3 years program. And it's the largest program, and the best thing here is that we get all these patients indoor. So at a given time, it's like going to a mall. You go to the first floor for shoes, apparel, the second floor, and the third floor, and you have schemes coming on, buy one, get one free. So here, when you walk into the ward, you can go to any department and pick up any patient. You don't need the textbooks there because all these patients which are admitted are the ones which are serious, which actually have lots of finding so that the residents can learn from them. And they have to do their thesis along the program, and that's a 3 years thesis, which they learn how to write papers, and they're taught how to pick up these new challenges. And the advantage of this one is that since all the patients are indoor, I worked for some time in Sydney also, but they don't have indoor facilities. So if I see the patient in the OPD operate on the outdoor basis, patient goes out, none of the other ophthalmologic friends are exposed to that. Here, it's in the wards, and anybody can walk in. So in my place, it's like a mall running free, so there's a scheme going on everywhere. You see one patient, you get 3 patients free along with that. And if you keep your eyes and ear open walking through the corridors, I'm sure you're going to become the best, but you have to keep your eyes and ear open and let everything go into your brain. And of course, if you can still read this well, like last time, you just need one more drink. Thank you very much.
Dr. Coker, I think All India Institute of Medical Sciences and RP Center is the best in the country. We are all salute you for the great work you're doing, sir. And also, I think I've been an examiner there, and I know the breadth of patients is absolutely no problem. It's nothing like free, because I think Dr. Coker is putting it in a lighter way. I think every postgraduate in ophthalmology from this part of the world should visit AIMS, because it's a beautiful institute parallel to almost AIMS, where ophthalmology in 60s have been equivalent to rest of the entire, now cardiac center have come and kidney center have come, but ophthalmology was first in 67, I think. Thank you.
Yep. And you guys are all welcome. Anybody wants to come there, visit, you just have to pick up a visa and come. We'll take care of you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Coker. Next, I invite the wet lab training for residents by Dr. Amar Pujari, Assistant Professor in same RP Institute, AIMS. Proud of you, sir.
So I'll be talking on wet lab training. So I'm also from AIMS, New Delhi. So I'm the Secretary General of Wet Lab, National Ophthalmic Surgical Center we have in AIMS, New Delhi. So in ophthalmology, we need to have two sort of training, that is theoretical and surgical. So we heard some principles and we know how to read the textbooks. We are going to gain so much knowledge using textbooks through articles. But at the end, we need to have a smooth skills, because eye is very small structure. So you need to have a very smooth hand-eye coordination under the microscope. So that is very challenging. A person who is coming through out of MBBS, when he's entering the ophthalmic department, he cannot just perform any surgeries. You can ask him to suture the skin, he can do it. But he cannot suture the corneal injuries. He cannot suture the corneal or even scleral injuries, right? So he need to have first hand-eye coordination, that too under microscope. So for this reason, we have simulators. Nowadays, worldwide, we have a cataract simulator and also the vitrectomy simulators. So you can try these simulators. We have one at our center. So it will teach you how to do the rexis, trenching, phacoemulsification, and even at the end, how to put the IOL. But what is the limitation with the machines is you won't be able to feel the tissue. You won't be able to grasp it. It feels like as if it is a video game. That is a problem with the simulators. So if you look into the literature across the world, people have used pig eyes, goat eyes, and even the human eyes, which have been enucleated. But we cannot get the human eyes that easily. Nowadays, we only take out cornea after death. That is for transplantation. And in our part, in our Delhi, we have a nearby butcher house where goats are slaughtered. So we have these goat eyes. We go there routinely and we take our eyes. Through these goat eyes, we can teach various things. So I just want to go through all these things which we simulate regularly. We teach it to our residents. And even during our workshops, we give hands-on training to these people. Right? So how to prepare the eye for different surgical procedures. So first, inspect the globe. Globe should be having a good amount of tension. It should not be lacerated. It should not be having any defect. And try to identify the equator. This is probably equator and the limbus. So whether you want to do the corneal procedures, you want to do the scleral procedures or the extraocular muscles, you need to tilt the globe, right? So after that, once you see that globe is intact and it is not having any lacerations, you need to wrap the gauze space around the globe just to mount it onto the mannequin head. So this is how you are going to wrap around the globe for corneal procedures. So in our wet lab, we try to simulate all sort of cataract surgeries. That is, here you can see that the nucleus has been hardened by keeping it in an oven. We need to keep the eye in the oven for 5 to 6 seconds, not more than that one. So once you do that one, the cataract is becoming more hard, right? So you can simulate. Otherwise, the lens will be very soft. So by keeping the eye in the oven, you can simulate different sort of or hardness of the cataract. So you can teach the ECC, you can teach the phacoemulsification, and also you can teach how to put the IOL at the end of surgery. So this is one sort of modifications which we did. People wanted to simulate SF IOL. So in that case, the diameter in goat eye is more than 15 millimeters. So IOL won't be able to, the multipiece won't be able to fix it there. So in that case, what we did is we took another haptic here, we joined it here, and after that we simulated the SFL. So this is another IOL through which we are trying to simulate how to dial the leading and the trailing haptics of ICL or intraocular implant. Right? So we further go down to other surgeries. Cataract is the most common surgery, but we need to have, as Sir has said, we have all the specialties. We need to have specialized program for all these sort of specialties. So this is corneal. So from the basic, tattooing is a very basic procedure. So we teach how to make a pocket using a crescent blade, how to enter into the intrastromal region, and how to paint it, right? So this is a corneal injuries, right? So simulate a goat eye by keeping it in a slanted fashion. and using a blade, try to induce a corneal perforation, and these are instruments which are required. Teach the resident how to make an entry, how to form the antechamber, and how to secure the limbal suture first, then followed by your scleral and the corneal using different sutures. So similarly, you can teach how to do conjunctival dissection, how to take the conjunctiva by lamellar dissection, how to use it as a transplant or the autograft, especially in case of pterygium, because pterygium, tattooing, cataract, these are the basic things which residents will do in their first year. And how to take out the eye, because we have a National Eye Center. So before they go for organ retrieval, they need to be taught here how to take out the rim, at least 4 to 5 mm around the limbus. So this is keratoplasty. You can trim a central cornea. You can take cornea from the other gota. You can practice sutures, whatever the amount of sutures you want to put. So this is lamellar corneal procedures. You can have different blades where you can take out the tissue. This is anterior lamellar keratoplasty. So this is endothelial peeling. So third comes the glaucoma training, because here the angle will be quite clouded in goat's eye. We use expired or the discarded human corneal tissue. So this is cornea has been used for human transplantation. This rim is wasteful, right? 1/3 we send it for culture, and 3/4 is, here. So you can see that this is a pigmented meshwork, and this is a scleral spur, this is the iris root. So this is how we are going to hang in front of the slit lamp. We are going to teach what are the angle structures which are visible. Similarly, we can use it. We can mount it in an artificial chamber and can perform the gonioscopy here, right? So here you can see that under the microscope. This is all under wet lab. So we have a gonioscope, direct gonioscope. You can see that how the resident examines the angle structure. After that, once you do that one, that is direct, and this is indirect. The same thing we are going to mount it in front of the slit lamp. So you can do indirect gonioscopy as well. So similarly, we can teach the trabeculotomy, right? So using MUR blade, how to identify the trabecular meshwork and how to pass the MUR blade just to open the trabecular meshwork. So you can just open the trabecular meshwork. Similarly, whatever the recent trends are there, micro stents, we have some samples in our wet lab where the stents are inserted into the trabecular meshwork. You can see here the one, and how the suprachoroidal and how the subconjunctival pathways work, just to simulate that one. So similarly, TRAB is the trabecular is the gold standard. How to create the flap, how to secure it using releasable sutures, again that we can teach, and how to put the AGV, glaucoma valves. And this is repair of the sphincter tear, just to simulate that one. Using a proline suture, we can suture the sphincter tear. We can induce the iridodialysis, and we can repair the dialysis as well. So with respect to vitreoretinal surgeries, we can take the eyes, we can use different muscles around the eye, and we can simulate the buckling surgery as well. So with respect to squint, as I have presented it yesterday, so we can different rectus muscle. This is infraoblique muscle, inferior rectus muscle, lateral rectus muscle. We can simulate all sort of infraoblique muscle procedures. These are superior rectus, Y-splitting, the muscle transposition, Farden surgery. We can simulate all sort of vertical rectus or even the horizontal recti muscles. And after that, we can simulate even the supraoblique muscle. This is superior rectus and this is supraoblique. How to do posterior tenectomy, how to do tucking. We can simulate all sort of supraoblique procedures as well. So to conclude, in wet lab, a significant number of routine ocular surgeries, which are commonly performed, can be simulated in wet lab just to improve the resident's orientation and also to improve the hand-eye coordination, because they will be looking through under the microscope. So you need to have a proper coordination because there should not be any jerk. So for that reason, just for theoretical, whatever they have read, just to get a 3D orientation and just to simulate so that they can have a good coordination. So these are the charts which we have made at the wet lab. So we have posted it on the wall, pasted it on the wall. So whenever the residents comes, whenever the people from outside this comes, we are going to simulate whatever they feel that, okay, we need to have this sort of simulation. Can you just teach us? Okay, we'll do that one. So these are some of my publications with respect to wet lab, which have been published in various journals. Thank you.
Thank you, Amar. So you see, with the goat's eye help, yeah, please carry on. You can actually do so many things. And just to add on to that, the wet lab we have, it's got about 8 phaco machines dedicated for the animal eyes only. We got we got simulators, which you can simulate anything from VR surgery. In fact, for the people learning indirect ophthalmoscopy, if they're not good, they put lesions there and you can pick it up. So before you actually touch the human eye, you're already well trained into this. Well done, Amar. And now, good friend, philosopher, and a guide, Natarajan. He's always there. I mean, Natarajan, everybody knows about Nati. Who doesn't know about Natarajan? He will be talking about training and teaching and training in the ICO, because everybody wants to give an exam for ICO and they want to go fly out of the country. But you can just come back and help your country. This is my motto here. So, Dr. Natarajan, all yours, please.
Thank you, Dr. Kocher, and I represent the ICO as the treasurer. I'm happy somebody from this part of the world is the office bearer there. So the ICO is an international organization which is called the International Council of Ophthalmology, which represents and serves professional association of ophthalmologists of 183 countries. The Board of Trustees of the International Council of Ophthalmology is the executive body and operational arm of the ICO, and we have an officers group. Dr. Neeru Gupta is the president, Dr. Evo Kocher is the CEO, myself as treasurer, and we have Dr. Sam from Abu Dhabi as the vice president. The ICO represents and serves our members, which include national, regional, and subspecialty ophthalmology societies throughout the world, and the only ophthalmology organization in official relation with the World Health Organization. The roots of ICO date to 1857, when 150 ophthalmologists from 24 countries convened in Brussels, Belgium, for the first World Ophthalmology Congress. Participants in the Congress founded the ICO in 1927 in Scheveningen, Holland. The ICO World Ophthalmology Congress is held every 2 years actually, and the longest continuous international medical meeting, and even one of the first medical meetings even before the other specialties started. And 2026, the ICO is going to celebrate 100 years of WOC, which is being conducted in Prague, in Czech Republic. The mission is to work with the world's ophthalmology societies and other stakeholders to enhance ophthalmic education, improve access to the highest quality people-centered eye care, and to preserve and restore vision for the people of the world. We bring ophthalmologists and their teams together to learn, share, inspire, and engage in excellence and innovation. We aim to strengthen eye care capacity in low and middle income settings to address inequities and pressing public eye health needs to secure eye health for all. The World Sight Day, which is the second Thursday of every October, the IAPB, the ICO, WHO, everybody celebrates. The idea is to create awareness, because everybody needs eye checkup right from the birth to the death, and even after the death, to call the eye bank. And the ICO is building a World Alliance for Sight by leading, stimulating, and supporting the efforts of ophthalmic societies. And our partners worldwide include eye care providers, universities and institutes, NGOs, and related organizations to enhance ophthalmic education and access to high-quality eye care. So offering a global network of ophthalmology societies and ophthalmologists, supporting ophthalmologists at all career stages. Our programs are designed and conducted to support ophthalmologists at every stage of their career so that they may be equipped to deliver high-quality eye care to preserve and restore vision for the people of the blind. And then ICO is actually the main idea is to tell about the ICO fellowship, which is running for more than, I think, 50 years. And they give, I think, about $5,000 for 3 months. You need a sponsor or a center where you can go, which is recognized by the ICO. There is a list given in the ICO website. The fellow can apply for that. And I think if you pass that, as Dr. Kocher mentioned, everybody wants to get a degree, particularly when they want to work abroad. And FICO is 1 degree, where you pass the exam. They have the advanced and for beginners and intermediate. And ICO fellowships enhance skill transfer and excellence in eye care. As the only worldwide provider of ophthalmology examination, we strive to leverage and harmonize ophthalmic knowledge around the world through a range of basic, advanced, and subspecialty ICO exam modules. Ophthalmologists are provided with a structured pathway to test their knowledge. And Aditya Jyota Hospital, which I run, is a center for ICO exam for a long time, and we are also center for FRCS Ophthal and FRC Ophthal from Glasgow and London. And placing ophthalmology of the global health agenda. At the global level, the ICO supports the UN Sustainable Development Goals, delivering evidence-based insight and contributing to global eye health agenda of the World Health Organization. And the World Ophthalmology Congress, which is held every 2 years in a different region of the world. The Council presents the Gold Medal every 4 years at the WOC. And we are happy this time the award, Jules Francois Award was given to Gullapalli Rao, who is a pioneer and also the past president of International Agency for Prevention of Blindness. Here we had Dr. Parag Segaram from Sri Lanka, who represented both IAPB and WHO. And we have ICO International Basic Science Assessment and Clinical Science Assessment for ophthalmologists, ICO International Fellowships, ICO International Clinical Guidelines. And I see some bright postgraduates in India, they do their MS or MD from AIMS and simultaneously do the ICO exam and FRCS, because maybe the slight change in the format, but it's a ASCII, then you have the multiple choice questions. And I think when you're preparing, probably better to get all the degree. I know it's expensive, but it's worth it in case wherever you work. And I think unfortunately within India, we only have our own degrees recognized, not the FRCS or the ICO exam. But I think when you go abroad, maybe you have 1 point extra, but more than that, you will be equipped with knowledge, your degree and a qualification. And ICO International Fellowship is really wonderful because you have excellent mentors available all over the world. And ours also is one of the ICO center where people come from rest of the world, particularly Europe, to come and spend 3 months with me to learn vitreoretinal surgery. And we also have clinical guidelines, we have to update it, and international standards for vision, eye care and ophthalmology, research agenda for global blindness prevention, vision for the future, the ICO strategic plan to preserve and restore vision, and various ophthalmic education initiatives. And one of them is ICO has joined the NIH Bethesda, USA, and making a fellowship on ophthalmic genetics, which is rare, where people are interested. Tomorrow we have a session, Global Eye Genetic Consortium, where I'm the vice president, and Jerry and me are conducting this inherited retinal degeneration and genetics, basic genetics for ophthalmologists for the few years in All India Ophthalmic Society and sometimes all over the world. And the ICO strategic plan to preserve and restore vision for the future stems from planning sessions organized by the ICO and the Academia Ophthalmologica Internationalis in 1999 and 2000, with a mission to preserve and restore vision for the future, encourages activities to enhance ophthalmic education, training, ophthalmology continuing education, eye care guidelines and recommendations, and advocacy for the preservation and restoration of vision and research in ophthalmology and vision. And this is the only organization is for the ophthalmologist, by the ophthalmologist, and of the ophthalmologist. Because there are other international organizations where they include the other specialties, nothing against that, but I think only exclusively for ophthalmology is ICO, and vision for the future innovation partnerships with global initiative for the elimination of avoidable blindness, Vision 2020, and the other global, national, and institutional program sponsored by organizations and entities committed to the elimination of avoidable blindness. Each year, the ICO offers throughout the world to help ophthalmologists evaluate their knowledge in basic science and clinical science related to ophthalmology. The ICO started offer examination in 1995. Since then, more than 50,000 ophthalmologists in 84 countries have taken ICO exams at 137 testing centers to further their career. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Natarajan, for giving us the insight. Now I'll call upon Dr. Harshul Tak. He'll be talking about the quality surgical recordings and slit lamp photography. So if I remember when I started my residency, my professor and senior used to tell you, see the posterior subcapsular cataract, no slit lamp, you come anterior, posterior. First 1 week, I didn't know what the damn they're talking about. I could see the light going, flashing, coming back. I don't know what are they talking about? Are we looking at a different tissue? But slowly over a period, we realized that the beam can go and cut the tissue like you're doing a CT scan or an MRI. So this is what he's going to talk about, how you can learn on the slit lamp and not make mistakes. Harshal, all yours.
Thank you so much, sir. And at the outset, thanks to the Sri Lankan Ophthalmic Society, Dr. Amila, and to AIOS for including me in this session. So I'll be talking on the quality surgical video recording and slit lamp photography. As Dr. Kokha said, that was the need of surgical video recording and photography because it's very important for self-assessment of surgeon. Our videos, they help us first to analyze our technique and to improve our skills and what we are doing wrong when we are operating. So it's the greatest teaching tool for us, firstly, and then it's very important to teach students. So video recordings do help in teaching younger surgeons and all the students. Surgical audits are easily done if we have recording there. So by and large, it improves patient care when we record. So coming to that, how the technological advancement has taken place, 20 years back when we started operating and we started recording, there were CCD cameras. So their technology was based on the charge coupled device. So essentially they had very low resolution, but then they advanced to the CMOS sensor, which is a complementary metal oxide semiconductor. So this CMOS sensor, what essentially happens here is there is a prism which generates one primary color. So we know that these are the three primary colors. So this CMOS prism, it generates one primary color per sensor for red, green, and blue. So it gives a very good spatial resolution. And this is what is used in all the medical grade cameras which we have, like Ikegami, there's a 4K camera, or Sony, whatever medical grade cameras are there, which institute like RPC and a bigger institute can easily afford, whatever the cost is, 10 lakh, 12 lakh, whatever the cost, they can afford those cameras. But being a private practice, we also need to record quality surgeries. For that, I'll tell you that how my journey started and how we can use different things to record the same quality. Now, I'll tell you that these cameras, even though they cost 10 to 12 lakhs, still they use 1/3 CMOS sensor. So, looking at the sensor size, we all know that it's very important that we have a bigger sensor size so that we can have a better resolution. Look at the full frame camera. So this is a full frame DSLR camera, Canon or Nikon or Sony, whatever camera you use. So this is the sensor size of the full frame camera. And this is the sensor size of the cropped sensor cameras. And look at the 1/3 inch size of the sensor which is used in these medical grade cameras of Ikegami or Sony. So the sensor size is very small. This blue small dot here, this rectangle here is the size of the sensor. So it can never match the full frame quality, these medical grade cameras also. So for that, 20 years back, around 15 years back, what I started using was this is the adapter which comes from TTI Medicals. It's a US-based company. And so what ingredients you need? You need, of course, operating microscope, and you need to split the beam to your recording system. So this is a beam splitter. So beam splitter comes in various combinations, prism combinations. You can use a 50-50 or a 30-70 and 70-30. So it's better to use a 70-30. 70% of the light goes to the surgeon, and 30% goes to the recording system. So this is the beam splitter which splits the light, and this is the adapter which you need to convert this light and record on the DSLR camera. And believe me, this adapter, the entire system works. Your optics has to be of good quality to match those kind of medical grade cameras. So don't use the local adapters which may come very cheap. So these kind of adapters, they come for 1.5 lakh Indian rupees, but their quality is best and they give the best output. So from using that TTI adapter, I advanced to using the Zeiss adapter itself. So this is the adapter of the Zeiss. So remember that your focal length of the adapter has to match what camera you are using. So this is the Lumira microscope on which this is the beam splitter, which is here. And after beam splitter is this adapter. So this adapter's focal length is f340. And Zeiss make this adapter for Canon full frame cameras. And this is the best solution for your great recording, believe me. So this is the system which I use. So this is the adapter. So this is also from Zeiss. And you can mount your full frame Canon camera on this. If you want to use Sony mirrorless camera, or if you want to use Nikon camera, you can get adapter. T2 adapter is needed for Sony camera, which you get from Amazon for 4,000-5,000 rupees. You put that adapter here, and then you can mount your Sony mirrorless cameras also. So the advantage of these full frame camera is that they give you best output, and they work in very low light also. So this is the video which has been recorded from the same system. And remember that while operating, you always need to be careful that you are always focused on the whatever you are doing. Secondly, your centration has to be good. So always keep in mind that where your eye is, and try to make the frame which takes directly to the area of interest. So in this way, so it's not that you have the best of the system, but you're not keeping a track where your eye is, it's decentered, it's not focused properly. So even if you have the best of the system, if you are not focused, you won't get the good results and viewers won't enjoy watching it. This is another video which I'm showing here. This is a subluxated cataract. So this system, your adapter, it comes for 1.5 lakh rupees, and you can mount full frame Sony camera or Canon camera over it, which cost another 1.5. So in 3.5 lakh, you have the best of the recording system which is there. So what after recording, or if we take a photograph, that is not enough. We need to edit them also well, especially it goes for photography. I'll be showing you that you need to know how to use different softwares to enhance the quality of photographs, especially. In videos, of course, you don't need much after you record the videos, and archiving is also very important. Coming quickly to the slit lamp photography, you can have inbuilt cameras there in slit lamp, but if you don't have inbuilt camera and if you want to invest in a good photography system, there are 3 systems which I personally use. First is freehand. You can use your smartphone, put it over the ocular piece, and you can take a very nice photographs. Second is you can use adapter, or third is this DSLR adapter again, which I mounted here. So these are the photographs which are just taken with the freehand with my iPhone 14 Pro. You just put them over on the ocular eyepiece and you can take very good photographs. Have a look at this photographs. It's again taken from the slit lamp freehand. In this iris, if you want to take iris details, you need to take care that illumination comes from lateral side. Then only you can enhance the elevations of iris. So there are clip-on smartphone adapters. You just clip them on slit lamp. So this is the another adapter. So these are the photographs which have been taken from DSLR adapters. Again, the TTI adapter which is used with full frame camera. You can see beautiful photographs which have been captured. And just to finish, I'll be showing few photographs which have been taken. So you'll enjoy this beautiful iris architecture which has been captured from DSLR cameras. So if you want to show the elevations and all the iris architecture, you need to give lateral illumination through a torch which enhances the elevations. So I think you need to have good understanding of photography and videography, and you should have good quality gadgets. And of course, it's the man behind the machine which matters. Thank you so much for your patience hearing.
Thank you, Harshal. And those are fantastic pictures and videos. See, here you go. So next is we getting over no other than girls Schlutz. I mean, everybody calls him
Jerry.
Jerry. So it's a Jerry show all the way. So what he said was pictures. Pictures will always stay in your mind. It's worth a million of words, actually. Jerry's going to be talking about educating emergency room residents, a crash course in ophthalmology. Yeah, so before he gets ready, I think what Harshal said is that you don't need to spend too much money. I mean, with a minimum money also, you can actually, the man behind the machine which works. So you have to think about it. And what is ophthalmology? It's nothing. It's optics, it's physics. Optics to see the colors, retroilluminations, and different shades, color visions, and physics to see if you're doing the rexis, how you're going, how you contour, and how you actually doing the vector analysis is all pure physics. Jerry, all yours, please. Your picture looks good there.
Thank you for staying to the end. I'm Dr. Gerald Schultz, and I want to review with you our programs that we have set up for the emergency room residents. Why did we do this? The emergency room residents in our area take care of all of the urgent, so-called, medical ophthalmology conditions that people have been brewing for a while, but they come to the emergency room in the middle of the night, on weekends, and on holidays. What I did is set up a program for the emergency room residents to learn ophthalmology because their knowledge of ophthalmology is quite spotty, depending upon the medical school they went to. Some of them very good, some of them are very sparse. Now, the emergency room residents have to take care of not only trauma, but also things like flashing of lights in the eye, floaters, in irritation, and sometimes trauma, foreign bodies, and car accidents, and also ruptured eyes. They're the first line. So what I did is set up a program where these residents rotate through my office and the two other ophthalmologists that are on the on-call emergency room program to learn ophthalmology in detail so they can understand what the patient's problem is, diagnose it, and start the treatment, and call us if necessary, hopefully not in the middle of the night. Now, my hospital is the center of a trauma area. We have a 250-mile radius. Other hospitals in the area do not have ophthalmologists on call to the emergency rooms. And again, the emergency room doctors in those hospitals have a certain amount of knowledge about ophthalmology. Otherwise, they transfer it to our hospital. As I said, sometimes in the middle of the night. And because in the United States, an emergency room just can't discharge a patient unless it's to an ophthalmologist's office that they set it up with, they have to send to another emergency room only by ambulance. Last month, I even had a patient with a corneal ulcer transferred in the middle of the night to my hospital by helicopter. So, we start the training program in our offices. The new residents, we have 10 of them a year, first-year residents, rotate through my office and my two colleagues for 2 weeks. They get one-by-one training. They learn how to use the slit lamp, how to use the ophthalmoscope, and the indirect ophthalmoscope. Again, this is not an ophthalmology resident. This is an emergency room resident. And you can see she's properly using, very quickly, the indirect ophthalmoscope. And sometimes, some of them even learn how to do an applanation tonometry, which is really the gold standard. And we have this equipment in our emergency room. Here's another resident starting to learn how to use the instruments under my training, under my auspices, on how to examine a patient. Now, each of the residents rotating to my office, I loan them these 3 books. They've got pictures in it, a basic understanding of ophthalmology, principles of analysis. Now, remember that a lot of patients that come to an emergency room and to our office, it's not really eye problems they have, it's psychological problems that they transmit to the eyes. And therefore, the emergency room residents first take a look at the total patient, like eye residents should too. And then from there, will be able to determine what their eye problem is and if it's psychological. So, another major teaching program is the Bascom Palmer Eye Institute Learn, from which my residents learn. These are some of the videos that they click into, and I have that program with me, to give to you at the end, and it'll also be transmitted to you by email. So we can see one of my emergency room residents during the lunch break. She is looking at various modules from the Bascom Palmer Eye Institute and making notes. And here's another resident who's on the trauma module. So their instruction is intense, and they are very good when they leave our office. Here's the Bascom Palmer Learn. I have prepared these sheets. They click in, and they learn about uveitis, glaucoma, retinal detachments, diabetic retinopathy, hypertension, uveitis, the anatomy, and all this during their lunch period. And I have these sheets for you to give out so you could give it to your residents, and how to click in to the Bascom Palmer Learn. This is Grand Rounds, and also Grand Rounds is very instructive. Maybe not for the emergency room residents, but for you and your ophthalmology residents. And I have the timings for it. It's every week on Thursday afternoon in this area. Here's an example of one of the Grand Rounds, and you get notified beforehand of what the subject material is. Here, it's 4:30 in the afternoon on Thursdays, Sri Lanka and India time. Now, my emergency room residents really appreciate. Here's a note, a thank you note that one of them sent to me, a summary of what they learned. Always take a visual acuity. Believe me, this is not done in a lot of emergency rooms when someone comes in with an eye problem. Oh, the patient says he sees okay. Oh, the vision is blurry. What is the best corrected vision in each eye? She noted that. I usually start examining in the right eye and then the left eye, because that way I remember for which is what and the problems of each eye. I told them, lift up that eyelid. Look at the top of the cornea too, because a lot of pathology is there, hidden by the upper lid. She wrote this. Observe your patients and build rapport. I mentioned this early. First, you take a look at the whole patient, their attitude, how they present themselves, and then you can zero in on the eye. And then, whenever in doubt, check it out, because some of the information that you get may not be correct. Check it out. And so she says she feels more comfortable and confident evaluating the eyes. So here's our emergency room. And you can see one of my former residents examining a little child. Here's another one examining a patient, and look what she has in front of her. Culture plates. She's examining a patient that has total erosion of the corneal epithelium. So she's not going to take a culture and put it in a tube. She's going to take a culture of that eye with a Q-tip. They're not doing scrapings. I'll do the scrapings. And smear it directly on those culture plates and send it to the laboratory. This is what they learned. Here's another resident with the ultrasound. Yes, we do ultrasounds. You can see ultrasound in an eye. They learn that too, with confidence. And what's the end result? Thank you for letting me sleep in the middle of the night, taking care of the patients, and then calling me in the morning if necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
So I have these sheets for those. I'll be sitting up there.
Thank you, Jerry. In the meantime, can I call the president of Sri Lanka Ophthalmic Society? Is he here? Or the past presidents, can you come to give this?
I would like to invite the immediate past president of our college, Dr. Kapila Bandirka, onto the podium.
Dr. Co-chair.
Give you one second. First of all, I want to thank All India Ophthalmic Society for coordination this session with us. Actually, most of them are not new to us. They are with us for a long time. Mr. Rajan and Dr. Maskinen, all of them are with us. And especially, I want to thank Dr. Scholz and our trainees will be more than happy to use your the online programs. I think that looks to be very interesting, and I would coordinate with you because most of the time I'm coordinating the PGM programs. So I'll coordinate with you. Thank you very much for offering us that.
I would now like to invite Dr. Kapila. I would now like to invite Dr. Kapila Bandhu to present the tokens of appreciation to the esteemed speakers who will not be presenting tomorrow.
And one for
Dr. S. Kokari, Dr. Amar Pujari,
Yes.
and Dr. Harshul Tang.
So on behalf of Sri Lanka Ophthalmics, on behalf of All India Ophthalmic Society, we thank Sri Lanka for, like Dr. Jerry attends All India for 45 years. I am attending more than 30 years to Sri Lanka. Thank you.
That ends the All India Ophthalmology Society session. There's a special announcement. Please enjoy the refreshments and be present at this venue at 10:45 sharp for the oration. Thank you.